All right, so we should be live in both areas here in a minute. Gotta see. Over here, bud. Over here. Stay over here. You filming me? You got me in the shot? All right, leave it right there. We're gonna check and make sure you guys can hear us over at YouTube. Yep, looks like we're there on YouTube. And let's see. There we go. All right, we got guys. Terry says he can hear us. Havoc Tools, I can hear you. All right, Hugh, I can hear you. Great. Guys, welcome to Learning to Process Your Own Deer, How to Butcher a Deer video. We got Facebook Live going on for a second camera, but we're primarily talking to YouTube. So if you guys are watching on Facebook, go on over to the link I put in the chat box and join us over on YouTube. That's what we're going to be talking to primarily. We're going to use the YouTube shot for a secondary shot. Now, I want to explain a couple things before we get started here today, guys. You'll notice we're down one camera. We had a camera break last week when I filmed the hunt where I actually got this deer. And being down a camera messes up our live streams. It's messed up a lot. So as we do today's lesson, I'm going to mention a couple different ways you can help support Homesteady, which will help get us our second camera back. We have a course that's all about whitetail deer hunting, and it includes a really awesome instructional video about how to process your deer. So you can go, that course is on sale right now for $35. You can click on the button, wherever that button is, or down in the description. And there are also some affiliate links to the gear we're going to show you today. So if you help support the show in those ways, we'll be able to get that second camera back up and running, and these live streams and everything else will be easier. So we really appreciate that. And then the other way you can help support us today is through Super Chats, which all of our Super Chats for today, come on over here, bud. I got my 7-year-old here. He's running the camera, and I'm going to split today's Super Chats with him. Half will go to a new camera, half will go to the Lego Fund. So we thank you guys in advance. Let's start talking about deer. You go run that camera, okay? I'm gonna check really quick, make sure everybody's following along here. Looks like some people on Facebook are good to go. Let's see here. Gonna just check on YouTube. Looks good. All right. Awesome. We're good to go. So I'll keep mentioning those things as we go, but I want to get right into this. I want to start talking about butchering deer. If you have questions, my computer is way over there, and I can't read them right now. So guys, please hold your questions. I will take moments, I'll stop, and I'll answer questions, and I'll go over to the computer to do that. So, guys who are here right now in the chat box, if you see people asking questions, please let them know. If you could do that for me, just let people know, hey, save your questions till the question time when he's over at the computer. This is a beautiful white-tailed doe that I was very fortunate enough to be able to take last week. You can actually see that video. We have that video, one of our previous videos from last week. You can see the whole hunt and how it all played out. It was an archery season hunt. Our gun season actually starts tomorrow, but this was an archery deer, and it was a really nice hunt. Everything played out nicely. I wound up dropping the deer with the arrow, so I didn't have to go find her, which always is less stress, and got it home real quick. I was not able to videotape field dressing this deer. If you take the Whitetail Harvest 101 course, we have a great video on field dressing in that course. Link below, on sale right now, half price, $35. But that video shows you how to field dress. I could not show a video of field dressing the deer, unfortunately, because my camera broke. My camera actually broke on the hunt right after I shot this deer, so at least I got the hunt on. But big, beautiful white-tailed doe, there's going to be a lot of meat on this animal for my family, and this is why I hunt. Getting a big buck is fun, and if a big buck walks by, don't worry, I'm going to shoot that buck. But primarily, I go into the woods because I want to find amazing quality meat for my family, and you cannot beat a really nice sized doe for good quality meat. A lot of times does are less gamey tasting, they have less smell, especially this time of year, than the bucks. And so a nice big doe like this will give you lots of meat. We're talking, you know, hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of organic, free-range, wild meat, and there's not going to be any bad scent. And the way we butcher this deer, you're not going to have any bad flavors. You will be able to fool people when you serve them this deer. If you don't tell them it's deer, they might think you're serving them just amazing filet mignon. So I've had that exact experience happen before. Hey, bud. Snack time, go over there. We got the crinkly snacks. I told him it was going to be a long filming, so snack time. All right. Take the snacks over there so we don't hear it. So I've had it before where people who say, I hate venison, I don't eat venison, they come over to my house and I serve them this without telling them until maybe the end of the meal. And they're like, no way, I can't believe that was venison. So the way I learned to process deer, it's very different from how a butcher generally will process it. If you have a really good butcher, like the butcher that we use for our product, they might do it differently. Our butcher does an amazing job on all his stuff. But a lot of times a butcher who's got a deer from, you know, a hunter, he's only going to charge $100, maybe $200 to butcher it. He doesn't have a lot of money in this thing, and so he wants to turn it out quickly. And when you try to butcher this quickly, you're going to get a worse product. So the way I do it is very methodical, it's very slow. And we're not going to show the entire thing today because it would be like an 8-hour video and no one wants to sit through an 8-hour live stream. Well, at least most people don't. Maybe some of you guys are at work with, like, you know, headphones in. In that case, we could let it roll. But anyway, we're going to show you the basics. I'm going to show you skinning it. I'm going to show you deboning the hindquarters. And after that, it's pretty much what you'll see there is what you get. And then trimming, which I might do a live stream later tonight when we're up in the kitchen. Trimming, we'll see how this one goes. Let me show you the tools I'm going to use. If you're watching on Facebook, click on the link, go over to YouTube because we're showing the tools here on YouTube. I have some extra tools here that I don't normally use, so I'll just show you those. I got this at Gander Mountain. If you're doing any kind of sawing, that's a little more advanced. We're not going to show any of that today, but that's a nice little handheld saw. It was, I think, $30 for that saw at Gander Mountain. So that's a cool one. Alright, the bulk of the work is done with this. You want to zoom in on this, buddy? I got my cameraman here today. My 7-year-old's running the camera. And I'm splitting all super chats with him. So if you guys help support the show with the super chat option, he's going to get some of that towards his Lego fund. So this is an Outdoor Edge Butcher Light kit. It's a really great kit. It's the first kit that I bought when I started processing my own deer. And if you have no equipment, you can process an entire deer with this kit. To be honest, you really only need one knife to process a deer, but this kit makes it nice and easy. And I'll show you the different knives that it comes with here and why I like this. And go through this real quick here. This is a caper knife. When you're taking the hide off of the deer, you don't want a really long blade, and the angle of this blade, it's easy to cut the cape off, especially if you're trying to cape an animal and not puncture the cape. So nice tool for skinning, and they're all labeled, which is nice. So that's the caper. This here is the skinner. So if you're just trying to move quickly, the caper is for a little more detail. You'll notice the difference in the blade size. The skinner is a little bit bigger, and I generally will use the skinner more than the caper because usually I'm butchering a doe and I'm just trying to get that hide off. Got a nice curved edge, and it's got that gut hook, which is really nice. I'll show you how that works too in a minute. We also have a nice fillet knife, boning fillet knife. These are all stainless steel knives. They sharpen up. You can resharpen them, and it comes with a bone saw. It comes with a sharpener too and a rib cage splitter, which I don't have here. Why don't you zoom out, bud? We'll show this. This is kind of a neat thing too. It becomes your little hip apron / scabbard. So I can model that for you. Nice to work with, keeping your knives right there at your hip, and it's got a nice safe sheath that you can keep them in. So that is cool. In addition, I usually keep, you crank the camera over that way a little bit, bud. I usually keep a couple extra small knives on me. This is a Cuda. You get those at Walmart for like $9. They're real sharp, nice knife, real good rubber grip. A nice small one for, working in there. And then these are a couple ones I keep around for chicken butchering. But once in a while, if I'm doing deer, you know, depending on working in a tight space, I use a smaller knife. You'll notice all the knives that we use, they're very small. There's no giant buck knives. It's all real neat, small work. And really, that one caping knife, you could do the whole deer with that one caping knife. So not a bad option. I got a knife sharpening kit, which I keep by if I want to sharpen my knives. A steel, which is helpful to keep your knife sharp during the process. This is a big one. Butchering a deer is a long process, and you get tired. Especially, I got 2 deer to do today, so that's going to keep me tired. A cut-proof glove. Sometimes you're working, maybe you got lazy, you didn't sharpen your knives, and you fuss in and whoop, you slip, and you wind up poking yourself. Having a nice cut-proof knife has saved me from a lot of cuts. So that's a nice option. I keep that on. Okay. A lot of that stuff I have affiliate links below. If you buy them, obviously we get a little bit of an affiliate. A bonus, doesn't cost you any extra. I was trying to find the link for these things. I couldn't find it. I got this at a store that's a store around here called H Mart. It's a Asian supply and grocery. And I know they use these giant bowls for making kimchi. But you can see the size of this bowl. It's enormous. And these, I got 2 of them, are awesome as we're butchering to throw your meat in. You can keep them clean. They're not plastic. They're not porous, so they don't keep any bacteria. When I'm all done, you can burn the heck out of them in your hot water with some soap. And I like that they're so wide because I keep them over here on my Yeti cooler, and I just kind of toss the meat, and they're so wide I don't miss. I never wind up with meat on the floor. I have 2 of them, one for burger and one for the non-burger meat. So I have all the burger meat here and then all the nice steaks in the other one. All right. We're about to start skinning this deer. If you have any questions, we're going to take a moment to answer questions. If you're watching on Facebook, I will not be checking Facebook questions, guys. Head over to the YouTube link. It's in the chat box. Or just go to YouTube Homesteady channel and find this live video. Just for the sake of timing, I can only keep track of one today. So over on Facebook, we're going to take a couple minutes to check questions. And you can turn it over here. Oh. You turned it off? Yeah. Turned it off. All right, so we're taking questions here. Let's see, there might not be any questions. If there are no questions, we won't even stop. If you have a question, please tag @Homesteady. It stands out much easier. So it looks like a lot of guys are saying do an 8-hour stream. That's awesome. Good crash. Okay. Terry said it's a good crash course. Yeah, we did that wild harvest course. Terry was a student of it. Glad Terry enjoyed it. We already said this was a doe, so that's good. All right, guys, I don't see any new questions. So as long as we didn't Better Life Together's here. Hey, man. Heard about us at Jack Spirko's workshop. That's cool. I love Jack Spirko, so it's cool to find out they were mentioning us. All right. We got a few questions here. Do you have any issues with YouTube doing these videos? They might demonetize this. That's okay. We don't rely on YouTube money for our business. It's just a part of it. Yes, this will be available later, Little Red Farms. And locating glands. We'll get to all that. All right, good. We're going to jump right in, guys. Not too many questions. Just double check here on... All right, see your head and deer legs over on Facebook. Okay. People over on Facebook, if you're watching, just head over. If you can't copy that link, head over to YouTube for the show. All right, guys, let's get started here, and I will adjust this slightly so the Facebook people, that'll be better when we're not moving that camera. So I'm going to get my glove on. And, oh, yep. Got to get my son back to be able to see our screen here. That's good, bud? Yeah. All right, we're going to start skinning this. you have questions, fire away once we get to the question part. I start with my skinner. And the reason I start with my skinner is because of this little hook. So I'm going to show you in a minute. But actually, okay, I lied. I don't start with my skinner. I start with my caper because it's got the little pointy edge. The first thing we got to do is get this hide off of this deer. And to do that, I take this little point, and you'll see I'm just going to cut a little point here. That'll dull your knife really quickly when you cut into hide. And so you try to not do that too much. So you see here I'm exposing a tendon. Watch what we're about to do. I'm going to make sure we're in focus here. Yep, we're in good focus, looking good. We got some good light here. Alright, so I take my skinner and I got this little hook. And what I'm going to do now, I open that up with my caping knife. Now I take that skinning hook and I start cutting. The hook goes under the hide and it cuts without dulling your knife. So that's a nice one of these. This Outdoor Edge kit is really nice for that. It's got some really nice smart tools. So having that little hook under there, and look at how quickly I can skin this deer with that hook. I'm already cut down right to the hindquarters here. Okay, that's clear through. So now I turn this around and I start cutting underneath the hide. You don't want to cut the hair because, like I said, that'll dull your knife really quick. And now I'm just cutting and pulling. And you'll see that's why this curved knife edge works really well for this. Now, let me get around here. You still see me here? Come on over. You'll see some guys will skin their deer right away. We do not skin our deer right away. It's easier to skin them while they're hot. And a lot of guys want to skin them right away. And come on, it's easy. It'll pull. You can practically pull it right off. But we don't do that because it dries the meat out. And I actually learned to butcher deer from an article I read written by a chef. And he talked about how to butcher deer for flavor, not for, the easiest way to butcher it. So the flavor, the best flavor you can get, part of that process comes from aging the deer. And we've had this doe, if you've been following us, you'll see that we got this doe. We got this doe last week, so she's aged a whole week. If I had a walk-in freezer, I would age her longer, but unfortunately I don't. So when the temperature is 40-ish degrees, more like 30, really we're looking for like 34 degrees, I like to age them for at least a few days, and that'll let the meat kind of tenderize a little bit and become a better quality deer. And if you take the hide off while you're doing that, the meat will dry out much quicker. So that's why you see we're doing this now. If this were a hot deer, this hide would be pulling off super easily. But to me, the most important thing is good quality meat and not the ease of butchering. That's something you'll have to decide for yourself. Some guys don't mind a little gamier venison and they just want to get it done quick. Maybe they're just making summer sausage out of the whole deer, and so they can kind of afford to just go at it quick. But we like really good quality, the best you can get venison. Now I want to show you something interesting. A lot of the work we do here, there we go. A lot of the skinning is done just by pulling. And as long as your deer is mounted nice and strong, I got a good lag bolt up in my floor here, and I got this thing hanging on a little homemade kind of deer hanging, I forget what you call that, like a gambrel. But as long as you can give it a good pull, a lot of this work is going to be done just by pulling at the hide. Okay. The knife does very little. You're just kind of cutting at the connective stuff here. And when you get to the side, you get enough to work with and really grab onto, I can really start making some headway. A little bit more here. There we go. Now when you're cutting, you want to try not to get any of the meat. You don't want to cut into your meat. So you're just doing very shallow slices with your knife. And just working it very gently through. You can kind of see that there. You got a good shot of that, bud?
Yeah.
Right there, that's good. Alright, so now just watch as we kind of just pull, stretch and pull. I'm actually going to come around the back here in a minute. We got one half kind of started there. We're going to go to this other side. And, oh, we lost our light there. Let's replace that light. Our light went down here, guys. We're going to just throw a new battery in it. There we go. That's good. We got our light back. All right, let's start on this side. And I'm going to take the Facebook camera here and show you up close and personal what we're doing here. Okay, so don't worry about it. I'm just going to run the Facebook cam for a second here. So you see the little hook? We're going to just start. Normally I'd use the caper for this because I'm doing both here at once. We're going to just use the skinner. Expose a little bit of that tendon. See the tendon right there? And then, when I got enough of the tendon exposed, get that hook in there. There we go. Little more. There it is. Can I get it in there? It is amazingly hard to hold a phone. Hey bud, come here. You hold this. Can you hold that? Close? You got it? Okay, can you see that? Let's see how that works, guys. Okay, over here. Come get a shot of this. It's very. You get a shot of that?
Yeah.
We're cutting right through it. My arm's in the way? Alright.
Yeah.
Ooh, there's a lot of hair on that deer. Alright, the mobile Facebook cam not working out so well. But we'll go back to just regular filming of it. All right. All right, guys. Again, we're trying to do this with a cell phone here, and it's just not the best situation. But that's why if you guys help us, we got to replace that other camera. So any super chats, or if you want to take that whitetail harvest course, it's on sale right now, half price, $35. That'll help us raise the money for replacing that other camera and getting back on the show on the road here. So we have two really good cameras. My other camera's got a better autofocus, and normally that's a camera doing what my son's doing right now. It's automatic focus. It follows me real quick and easy. It's a really nice unit. And on that hunt last week, I think it was just too cold. And combination of the cold or maybe an aftermarket battery and put us down. What? Oh, okay. Son's talking to me here. Alright guys, so you see we're making some progress with this hide. And you're trying to, as you cut away, not pull out too much hair. That you don't want to taint the meat flavor with too much hair. But this time of year, the deer, it's getting colder, and their hides are getting thick. So there will be some of that. We've got to the base of the tail. And again, if you're following on Facebook, head over to our YouTube channel to see this better. At the base of the tail, we're going to take our bone saw. This Outdoor Edge kit comes with a nice little bone saw. You're going to cut through the tailbone just like that, because skinning around that tail is a lot harder if you don't just cut through the bone. So that bone saw makes short work of that. We cut right through the bone. Back to my skinning knife. And now you'll see this really starts to move, because now we've got the tail to pull and both sides exposed. I can start really just pulling this quickly and just barely touching it with the knife. You're just barely loosening it. So now, before we go much further on the back, we actually want to spin our deer around. And we're going to do that just like this. See the cavity there? You see the hair up on the legs is pretty high here. So we're going to spin that. You see that, bud? Got a good shot of that? We're going to work from here now. We're going to do the same thing in the front here and pull this hair down with us. So I'll go back to my caping knife and start working away the top here with the caper, just to get the hook another spot to bite. Okay, that should be good for the hook. I take my gut hook and I'm going to pull it just like this. Aim down a little bit, bud. From here to there. A little down more. Right there. Okay, that's good. So, we're going to take the hook. We're going to boom right down. And look at that. That opens right up. And now it's starting to pull meat, so I'll slow down there. But this goes much quicker the more you remove. Okay. All right. So that whole leg is done. A little bit up at the top here we got to get, but I can get that later as we work on that piece. I'm going to go over to this other side. Make sure we're in focus here. All right, we're going to do the same thing on this top here. I'll get my caper back out. The caping knife. Just start a little bit at the top. Again, I'm trying to cut mostly underneath the hide. You don't want to cut through that hair because that'll dull your knife real quick. Take my little hook. I tell you, this Outdoor Edge kit, if you're looking for a good kit to start you off, it's a great value. It's like, I think it's $70 for this kit. You get all these knives, and it really does make good work this whole process. We're in the basement, so you can hear all the flushes going on above us here. Not exactly a good sound studio, but you know, we do what we can here on the homestead, right? Okay. Now we're just gonna connect the dots here. Now we're going to start pulling this. And now you're going to see this really start to move. We're going to separate the hide from the ribs. I saw in the comments somebody asked if I was saving this hide for leather. And no, I don't do that. We've got so many deer. Oh, hanging on the thing there. We've got so many deer. We would the time, the materials, that's not something I personally know how to do, so we'd have to have someone do it for us. So using the hide is not something we do most of the time. But if you learned how to do it yourself, it'd be definitely a cool project. Something in the future I would like to try when the time frees up. All right, we're going to spin this deer back around, and you're going to see us finish up the skinning as I turn her.
Don't lose your camera.
There we go. All right. Now, if you guys are watching this and thinking this video is way too slow, it's going to take me forever to watch it. Our wild harvest course, we got each section of the butchering filmed with 2 cameras. Much better quality footage than this than we're able to do with just the 1 camera. And that each section, it breaks down the skinning, then it breaks down the boning of the hindquarters, then the backstraps. They all have their own little video so it doesn't get too far ahead of you as you're working. And the course is, there's a link below, it's on sale right now, half price. So if you guys were to get that course, you'd help us get closer to getting our second camera back. And you get a much better video than this one will be. Because we had, at the time, we had 2 cameras to work with. Alright. Still with me here, bud?
Yeah.
Alright. I got my 7-year-old on the camera, doing a great job. It's been a while since we've done a live stream. He used to run the switchboard for us when we did our live shows. Our homeschool kids, they learn all kinds of cool stuff as part of their homeschool curriculum. Alright, sometimes I poke a little hole right in the hide just to work with. That is not a good knife for poking holes. There we go, the caper's much better. I poke a little hole just to grab as I work down further here. If you're watching on Facebook, you're thinking, hey, I can't see him, he's disappearing out of the shot. Head over to our YouTube channel, guys. Just go to YouTube, search Homesteady or the link in the chat box. You can see it much better over on YouTube because my son's running the camera. You won't be missing out on what we're doing here. So head on over if you're over on Facebook right now. Poke another hole just to grab. That's just through the hide. That's not into the meat. That's just through the hide. And as I pull, just run my knife right along there. Now, for the sake of today's video, guys, I'm not going to finish the skinning completely, only because I want to show you in a reasonable amount of time how to do all the pieces of this puzzle. So we're going to get this hide down to the deer's neck, and then we'll just leave it there for now. That way I can show you deboning. That's the most important part. Once you got the deboning done, the burger meat's very easy to do. So we're just another minute or 2 here of the hide, and then we'll head over. We'll start working on deboning the hindquarters.
Just in time, Mommy's here.
Mommy's home. Okay. If this were a big buck and you wanted to get it mounted, this process is pretty much the same. You just go a lot more careful, and you wouldn't cut these pulling kind of cheat holes. You wouldn't cut those into the hide, especially as you get close to the front. But because we're not planning on doing anything with this hide, I can move quicker, and I can cut those little cheater holes, which definitely helps pulling this stuff off. right, we're getting to the front leg, and that's about where we're going to stop skinning right now. Do one more cheater hole here. Just give myself one more tug. I really want to get to the base of the neck because that's where those back straps go, which is the best part of the whole deer. And the nicest, most flavorful, soft, good quality meat is all in that back strap. One more cheater hole on this side. And those cheater holes, it's just the space of the knife, boom, right through. And then you can, just enough to get your fingers in there to pull. It really does give you a lot more pull when you're skinning. And as you get down to the bottom, you got to start getting the hide over the neck and out of your way. You'll hear little footsteps above us now. The rest of the family's home. We're down in the basement. Okay. All right, that's about as far as we're going to go on the skinning. We're getting the pizza time call. We heard you, honey. We're filming right now. You can go get pizza, bud.
Jimmy, want to be in the shot?
No. Stay here. You go get pizza. All right, my son's taking a little pizza break.
Hey, Daddy, maybe we should
And I'm going to get up on the hindquarters here. We're all done. We're all done skinning. I'm going to take a break, take some questions, and get your questions in that chat box. Tag @homesteady. If you're on Facebook and you're trying to see what we're doing here, get your questions over to YouTube. Go to YouTube, Homesteady channel. Skinning is done down to the neck. Let's take some questions. So, I'm going to come over here to the computer and the microphone. And let's go back to YouTube. Here we go, guys. I'm checking out your questions. Garden Channel wants to know, when did I get the deer? That was last week. You can watch the video. It was last Thursday. What kind of tools are you using to gut the deer? Sad Pepe? Pee-pee? I'm going to go with Sad Pepe. So what tools am I using to gut the deer? I like to use whatever knife I have on me in the field. I usually keep a Leatherman on me. Small knife, something easy to work with inside the deer cavity that you're not going to wind up cutting yourself is really nice. Something with, like that little caper knife I'm using, something small. Havilon, Paranta would work, or the Outdoor Edge. They have a nice little field knife with the placeable blades. Those are cool. All right, let's see. Anita says, not as bloody as I thought it would be. Very consumer friendly. Did you learn these techniques from any Native Americans? So no, I did not learn from Native Americans. Learned from an article, a bunch of articles that I read back when I started doing this. And then just recently I talked with my butcher. I have just a ace of a butcher, and I was picking his brain, and he confirmed everything that we do here is what he does. And one of these days he's going to do an instructional down at his butcher shop. We'll invite all you guys to come and join us. But learned from these magazines, articles written by chefs is what I was looking for. There's a couple chefs who write deer hunting books and articles, and they were the guys who said this is how to do it. No questions from Santa Barbara Homestead. All right. Not as bloody, Anita mentions. Yeah, the bloody part is the field dressing, Anita. At this point, there's no blood left. I've already bled out the deer. The field dressing's pretty messy. So, we're still good here, guys. No more questions coming in. If you want to see the whole skinning and very much more detail, the link below to that whitetail harvest course. Much better video overall. But this we're doing today because I really want to be able to answer questions. And unfortunately, we don't have the second camera today, so it won't be quite the same quality video, but we're working with what we got. Zophie wants to know, do we consume the organ meats? I do love fresh liver. We do consume, depending on how the shot went, what's clean. This deer, the way the shot went, all the organ stuff was fine, so we'll use it for that, but not necessarily, if you shoot it with a gun and it's right in the chest cavity. Yesterday, I got a deer that I pulled the caul fat from, but the caul fat was full of just matter, grass and dirt, and I didn't feel like messing with that. So it all depends on how it goes. What will I do with the hide, Tanya? I mentioned this before. We go through so many deer. We have so many hides. I don't know how to tan it, so I'd have to pay someone to do it. So for me, it doesn't work out. But if that would be something. One of these days, I will learn how to do something with these hides. They're beautiful. They're a nice part of the animal. Unfortunately, I don't have the skills or the budget to take care of ours at the moment. But if you do, power to you. All right, guys, we're going to get back real quick. I'm going to just check on Facebook, let the Facebook community know. Facebook guys, let's see. Doesn't look like any questions. I moved the camera. And guys, if you're watching on Facebook, click on that link and head on over to the YouTube channel because it's just a better setup. All right, guys, we're gonna get to actually deboning now, which is the fun part. And let me twist this camera around. I let my cameraman go and take a little pizza break. Figure I can handle the deboning part. And let me make sure we're back on here. So this is really the most important part of this whole process. This is the best quality meat, and get my cut-proof glove back on. The best steaks on the whole deer are all in the hindquarters and the backstraps. So you want to. I always like to hang the deer the way I have it here with the head down, because you want to be able to stand up and straight when doing these roasts and these steaks. You want to do a really nice job on these. You don't want to mess it up. Sorry about that, guys. Camera just went down for a sec. The cameraman goes away and we fall apart here. He's eating pizza. So I like to stand up straight and work on this part upright. It's a little bit easier. And there we go. The front part of the deer, most of that's going to become burger, so that you can cut quickly and you can remove the whole front. The front legs can come right off. I'll show that. But this is good to be standing up straight. And we're going to go in, we're going to separate all these muscles in the back strap. This is your best quality meat. So do it while you're fresh, while you still got energy. Don't save that till the end. And to do this, a combination of shorter knives. I'll be using my Cuda knife and probably my caping knife mostly. A nice flexible fillet knife. At this point, we put the skinner away. We don't really use the skinning knife for this. A flexible fillet knife and a short and easy to use caper are going to do the trick for us. And believe it or not, we're going to use our finger a lot. I'll show you how that works. So I like to start right here. Now, we have this deer hanging by these tendons here, so I don't want to cut up here too much. So right now we're going to cut all this out. We're going to save that for the end because otherwise the deer will actually fall off of our hoist here. So I go in, and all these muscles in the hindquarters, you can really feel them. I mean, you can go in with a finger. You can see right here I got my thumb in there. You kind of feel around when you're new at this. You do more work kind of testing with your fingers, saying, oh, where does that go? And you kind of follow the muscle lines. You'll see right there is a line in between two muscles. And you just start, this is called deboning. You're removing the meat off the bone. And you do a lot of this work just with your finger, just feeling around. Say, oh, okay, the muscle separates there. And then this nice short, sharp little blade that you can get in there without going too far into the next muscle part. Where the fat is really thick, you want to go in, Sometimes you can remove a little of that fat so you can see what you're doing. Deer fat is not flavorful. It's not like a pork fat or a beef fat. So you're going to wind up removing all that deer fat later anyway. So we're just going to go in here. We're going to start separating and pulling these roasts right off. Come around here. Do this one. And I don't do, you know, you can go super slow and make sure to get it perfect. You can move a little quicker. It all kind of depends on what your goal is, what you're looking to do. I've got a good idea now after doing this for so many years, what goes where. So I get to go a little quicker than maybe your first time. And you're kind of working your way right around this leg bone. And pulling everything out. There's a really thick hunk of fat right there, so we're going to just shave that off. Just like that. So we can separate these a little bit better. Now, I only do this a couple times a year. I'm not super skilled. You know, it's not like I'm a butcher and I get to really get the feel of this and get to move real quick. But you know, this video just shows you, just doing it a couple times a year, you can do a good enough job for your family. And if you don't have the option locally of a really good quality butcher job, you can do it yourself. Okay, this muscle's coming now. And you just kind of, like we did with the hide, you kind of do a lot with pulling. There we go. We're getting into some backstrap area there. There's a whole, there's actually two nice roasts right there. Make sure they're in the camera. Two nice roasts we got off. Now I got those big old bowls I showed you as we were starting. They're right there on the floor and on the Yeti. I can just toss my meat right in and keep working. Nice big wide stainless bowls. If I find those, I'll put a link below. I couldn't find them on Amazon, but I didn't have a whole lot of time to look before this. So now we're going to work right around this bone. See, we've just cut all sides of that bone right there. Really close to the bone. You don't want to drive your knife into the bone. That's a good way to dull a good knife real quick. Now I'm working against this bone right here. I'm going to switch to my fillet knife because I can kind of bend around the bone, get a little bit more meat that way. That last knife doesn't have much bend to it. This one, it's a fillet knife, so it'll bend right to the bone. It's good and sharp. Boom. A couple more really big muscles. You can see right there, nice big muscle there, and a nice big muscle there. We're going to separate those later. and trim them and make them look beautiful. But right now I just deboned. That's the bulk of the hindquarters, the bulk of the leg right there. Toss them in my bowl. Got that bowl right there on the ground. You can see we've opened up a lot of this leg. I got another nice cut of meat right here. I'm going to start working on that, and then we'll get to the back straps. Now this is part of that leg. Some people make a osso buso roast out of that. They cut it like that on the bone. But generally I'll just turn that piece there. There's a lot of tendons in that. Generally that for me will go into the some into the stew pot and some into the burger. It's mostly these hindquarters and the back straps that get saved for the actual steaks. So we're going to take, let's see, we're going to start on this side now, and we're going to kind of do what we just did on that side over here. So again, you look for these lines. See that kind of line there? You just give a little cut. I'm going to go back to my caping knife. Can't get into too much trouble with such a short blade. I'm going to just start cutting and pulling, cutting and pulling. So much of butchering a deer is just cutting and pulling. And for those of you homesteaders watching who maybe don't hunt, but maybe you have goats, I've done goats very similar to how I do a deer. You could do same thing with lambs. You could do very similar. Not exactly the same, and depending on the animal, you might want to save more of the fat than you would on maybe a deer. But if you're a homesteader and you're just trying to DIY it yourself for the cheap, you could do worse than butchering a goat like you do your deer. Following these lines here on the outside, cutting through, using the finger to guide the muscle. Okay. Cut through that fat layer. That's a thick fat layer. It's been very cold this November. The deer are putting on good fat right early. Okay. You can see how much work I do just feeling around with my finger trying to find the next area to separate the muscles. Okay. And a lot of this stuff, it goes slow, slow, slow. And then boom, you get a whole muscle off and they all come off at once. Okay, we're coming around the back. I'm going to start working on getting this right off the bone. Sometimes if you do it right, you can pull the whole hindquarter right off the bone all in one, kind of one big lump. Okay. I'm going back towards the tailbone here. So I'm going to grab my flexible, my fillet, my Cuda knife there, because that'll work real nice around that bone. The inside. Then this nice tailbone. Yes, honey. Not right now. Oh, that's nice. The girls brought lunch home. I'll take lunch after we're done. Gotta see this through, right? Gotta at least get you guys to the back straps. That's the best part. Oh, man, cutting through that fat. It is thick, that fat. There we go. Thick layer. My. Okay, now I'm going to start cutting right along the bone here, taking the meat right off the bone. Yep. Cameraman's coming back.
You said you want to be doing that.
Alright. We're going to get this all off right at once here.
I can't really see the shot.
Have the computer where you need it.
Yeah.
Alright, so.
Show you something. Explain it to me.
No, not in here, bud. Not while we're filming. Alright, let's separate that.
Look.
Not right now, honey. Not right now.
I see it.
Alright, we're going to get this whole leg all at once here. 2 parts. One big muscle right there. And that nice muscle bin. And that guy, that's a couple beautiful roasts in there. Right in the big bin. Now we've got most of our hindquarters done. There's still some really good meat here that we want to make sure to get. We're going to get that as we get the back straps here. I'll be checking for comments or questions in a in a minute here. So go ahead and start putting your questions in the chat box. If you're watching on Facebook, head over to YouTube for questions. And we'll talk about any questions you have for deboning. So now we're going to just focus on getting these back straps out. To do the back straps, you want to make sure you have a really nice fillet knife that's very flexible. If you ever fillet a fish, this is the part of this process that is the most like filleting a fish. You run the knife along the spine, just like when you're filleting a fish, and then you come in up above the ribs, kind of like when you're filleting a fish. So I filleted fish long before I ever butchered my first deer. It was helpful to transition into back straps. Here's our spine, and you can literally take your knife and start cutting down the side. Watch the camera, bud. We're dropping there. I gotta tighten that. Here, bud. It's dropping on you. All right. Okay, ready? So we're going to go right on that spine, and I'm not plunging the knife in like that. I'm going very shallow, just like this. I'm going shallow along the one side of the spine, and the reason a fillet knife is nice is because it flexes along with that spine. We're going to go right up to kind of the base of the neck, and then we go a little bit deeper, and you want to actually hear the knife scraping. Tell me when you're done moving.
Done.
Right there? Okay, leave it there. You want to feel the knife scraping against the spine. Hear that sound? That's what you want to hear. That tells you you're right against that spine. And you go deeper and deeper with each cut. Now you're not hearing the knife, you're hearing mainly the side of the knife hitting the spine. You don't really want to dig your knife blade into, you're going to hit the top of the ribs here. So don't go too hard into those ribs, that'll dull your knife real quick. And we're going into the tail area here. I give it a little, the backstrap dies right in here about somewhere, but I'm going to just give us a little extra space to work with. This is the short rib section of the deer. The backstrap is your filet mignon. It's the fillet. It's the best cut on the deer. T-bone steaks are made from this section. Short ribs right there. This is just the best quality meat, and on a nice big doe, you'll get a lot of nice quality backstrap meat from it.
Daddy?
Yeah?
Now it's hard to put it the way I
Is it
want.
stuck? Where do you want it? Put it where you want it?
I'm always like moving on.
Right there. Okay, don't touch it. That's good. So now we're going to kind of follow the contour of the base right here. You can just barely see that. Okay, so we're going to follow the contour here. We're going to cut there. And you can see that beautiful back strap. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start here where the short ribs are. We're going to start to work our blade in over, actually not where the short ribs, we're going to go right about the middle section here. I use the top of these ribs as my guide to going in. They curve in and down, so you don't want to go in straight, you want to follow the top of those ribs. And that's easy to mess up your first time, or even your 50th time. So you just go slow, and you do a lot with your finger. A lot of this is done just separating with the finger and pulling, separating and pulling. Okay, the more you do with your thumb, the less you're going to cut away with your knife. You know, a butcher who's just doing this every day, he'd probably have these things out in a second and with the knife. But for someone who's like me, who does this maybe 3 times a year, you just play it safe using use your thumbs a little more. Oh yeah. And you just keep pulling it and separating it. This one turned out very nice. Go to the caper down here, give a little more muscle. We're coming around. Now here's where the deer's shoulder is. So you actually want to kind of cut the meat from behind the deer's shoulder. So see that shoulder right there? Can they see that shoulder? Yeah, you can just barely see the tip of it right there, right? There's the shoulder. And you're actually cutting like right behind that shoulder. And then pulling this out. Bingo. That is the most beautiful part of the whole deer. That right there, that backstrap. And it doesn't look very pretty right now. We're going to take that and clean it up later. And that is your filet mignon. If you have family members who think hunting is bad, maybe they don't like deer, you serve them a little bit of this, you'll change their mind forever. That's just a great piece of meat right there. Cool idea. We're going to take some questions now, guys. Head on over to the question box. YouTube, Facebookers, head over to YouTube for questions. Okay, let's see.
Should I kill the camera?
No, bring it over here. Don't kill it. Zoom out. And get right down here. Right down. So we can see the... All right, guys, we're going to take your questions. So, let's see. Santa Barbara's asking, how's farm working out overall? It's going good. We could talk about that in more videos. We'll focus on deer today, Santa Barbara, but yeah, we're staying put. We were going to sell it all, but we decided not to. Zophie suggests some good books on butchering. That's great. All right. How many pounds of meat do you think you'll get? At least 50. Smaller deer, around 40. Bigger bucks, you can get 100 plus pounds. I mean, you can get really tons of meat. But I prefer a doe this size. This is a perfect deer. So we'll get over 50 pounds. If you figure this meat, organic, pastured, wild,
The best quality meat you can get in our area, it generally goes for $10 to $15 a pound. So we're talking $700 worth of meat off this deer. That makes it very worth it if you have a good season. Speaking of money, if you guys, any super chats, if we could get some super chats, this guy, I'm splitting them with him. He's saving up for a big Lego set. So if you guys want to help support the channel with those super chats, my cameraman's getting half of them today. Let's see. Turn the carcass as you work. Can't see anything, Mark says. I'll remember that, Mark. Rocky Brook wants us to start over. Yeah, right. Thanks for the referral books. All right, took a class. Great. No questions, guys. Well, we're almost done here. And we're just going to show a little bit more. We still got 28 people watching here on YouTube. Let's check Facebook just see any updates there. No, nothing there. Looks like everyone's... Yep, same old there. So we're good. We're going to finish this up. Guys, if you have any questions, I'm going to show you the last few steps here. If you want a much better, again, we've mentioned it before, much better version of this video is in our Wild Harvest course. That's in the link below. And it's on sale just for November. It's on sale for $35. You get the whole course on not only how to hunt deer, how to find deer. I have over 500 acres of private land that I do not own or pay any money for, but I get to hunt. So we talk about how to get your own private land for hunting, the techniques that we've found to be best when asking people and networking to get properties. So we talk about 6 different lessons, all video lessons, and then one of those lessons is all about how to butcher this, filmed with 2 cameras, broken down, a lot more close-ups. I put a GoPro on the knives and things, so it's a lot better than this video. But really today I wanted to do this because we just got this deer, you guys have been following that, and I wanted to take questions. So if you guys have more questions, we'll stay here and answer all your questions about butchering deer. I do have a whole nother deer to do today, so we will shut it down at some point. But I'm going to show you now the way we kind of do the burger meat. So let's get back to our deer. Yep. All right, guys. So now we got a little bit more good quality steaks here. We can take those off. We have one more backstrap, which is, we don't want to forget about that. That's the best quality meat you can get off this thing. So same kind of process, deboning, following the lines of the deer. Backstrap, same as this one. But I want to show you, before we end our live stream here, I want to show you how to do your burger meat. You can go a lot quicker with burger meat because burger meat you're going to just cut up, give it a clean, and then run it through a grinder. So the burger meat, you don't have to be as careful when you're cutting it. And I'll show you on one of these legs. Actually, I'll show you on the ribs. That's because the ribs are already exposed. So let's turn our deer around here. We'll turn it, if we can, to the side. So there's a lot of meat on the ribs. There's a lot of meat kind of in the brisket area. Some guys like to cook deer ribs. They actually go through the work of cutting the bones. You can do that if you want, if you like deer ribs. I personally don't really do the deer rib thing much. What I do is I just take this meat and I take a nice fillet knife and I start cutting it off, good pieces. And this goes in our burger bucket. So we got our big stainless steel. This is separate from the meat, that's your steaks. A lot of times burger will be dirtier meat. Sometimes it's where the bullet went through or the arrow. So generally speaking, keep your burger separate, and then when you go to grind it, it's easier too because you know what's what. You don't wind up accidentally grinding really good quality steaks. That would be sad. So now we just take our knife and we start working this. And this stuff we really don't have to be too careful with, other than being careful not to cut ourselves. But, just cutting off the meat. We got a nice big piece right there. We're going to just take our knife and start to loosen that. A lot of meat there. See that? Nice meat. We don't want that fat. That fat is not good, but that is good meat there. So we take that. And you can see I'm moving quick here because the burgers, you're going to grind it all up.
You don't have to be as perfect with your cuts. You don't have to keep things together like for steaks. You're just kind of grabbing and throwing. You can go through the thyme if the deer's big enough to punch out in between the ribs. Get that meat. Just remember, you don't want the hard fat. You'll trim that off later. The front brisket area here, there's a lot of meat on that front brisket. Just same thing. Just kind of cut, boom. Pull it off, throw it in the burger pile. The front leg, we'll show you one front leg while we're here today. The front legs are kind of amazing. I have to finish getting the hide off of this front leg. I'll do that. My hook will help me get short work of that. I can tell my knives are reaching the point where they need a good sharpening. But for the sake of our video, I'm going to just make do. Yeah, this knife is dulling good on me. I'm gonna run it through the steel. Let's change to our caper. Less. Yep, caper's cutting better. Okay, so this front leg, this is amazing. When you see this, you're gonna be blown away. The front leg is not attached to the body by anything more than muscle. So there's no bone. So we can literally take this whole front leg right off the deer without cutting through any bones. I got the hide off on both sides. What we're going to do is we're going to take our knife and we're going to start cutting out the back. There's a lot of meat back there. We're going to cut through that. There's some meat in there we're going to be removing. And it's still attached to our hide a little bit here. We're going to pull that down. Okay, like that. There it is. We cut right through. Oh,
Cameras.
hit the stop button.
Can we stop?
You're good. You're good.
I don't know if it's off or
It is, bud. You're good. I got a gassy cameraman here. All right, guys. Now, normally I would have finished skinning, so this would not be still stuck to the hide like you can see right now. I'm kind of fussing with it. Normally I would have finished my skinning first, but for the sake of our video today, I rushed through that. But there is, point it back up a little bit, bud. Just, oh, our other light went off. Well, this is our sign that it's time to quit, guys. Our lights are going off. Our camera's shutting down. But there you go. There's the front leg. I take my bone saw. I'll cut the front off because there's nothing in here. Cut the hooves off and the front part of the leg. Save the meat in here. I'll actually throw this whole thing right in my burger bucket. And then when it's time to take everything upstairs and trim it and clean it, I'll take it right off the bone. You want to remove everything off the bone. Throw that. I'll show you the saw. What I do with the saw. Okay. Let the leg drop without the meat dropping. Boom. A whole front leg. All good burger meat. All right. Well, that is pretty much, that's pretty much all the pieces of this puzzle. We showed you how to debone using your finger, a good knife, finding through the seams, go slow in this area, along the spine with the backstrap. We showed you the skinning. We use the skinning hook and just kind of pull. Remember, leave your hide on until it's butcher day. It'll help keep the meat moist. Any meat that's exposed is going to dry out quicker. There's more nice steaks on here for me to go through. Some of these little areas, I'll take those out when we're done here. There's a lot of meat in the ribs, those front legs, the neck, lots of burger meat. This is your good steaks and the backstrap. The rest, good for ground, sausage, burger, whatever you want to use it for. All this meat goes upstairs. We wash off all the hair, all the debris. We trim off all the yellowy fat. There's some glands in the legs that are really yellow. You trim all that. We trim everything that's not red meat. We don't leave anything on the bone. We don't leave anything with fat or silver skin. I'll show you this here. Let's get a real good close-up over here. In the light. A little Jaws music going on here.
There's sharks upstairs.
Okay. So this is called silver skin. You see the difference in color in this here. There's some just red meat, and that's silver skin. So you want to get rid of all that silver skin and all this fat and any glands, which would be thick yellow like lymph nodes. That fat there, you remove all that. You take it all away, and you're left with just good red meat. And that is the final step. So thanks for watching, guys. Any questions, hit up our question box. And before we shut it off here, I'll make sure I answer all your questions. The whole point of today's live stream was to answer questions. And special thanks to my cameraman here, my 7-year-old. If anybody wants to hook this guy up, he's saving for a big Lego set. So I'm splitting the super chats with him. If you enjoyed the cast today, it's a great way to support us. All the equipment we use, we got affiliate links below. If you use those affiliate links, another good way to support the show. It doesn't cost you a penny extra, and it's great equipment. We use it all. And finally, don't forget that Whitetail Harvest course. It's on sale right now just for the month of November. It's $35. It talks about everything you know, practicing. Well, that looked like I cut myself there. That's deer blood. Like, oh no, I'm bleeding. Oh, that's deer. So, wipe that off of my apron here. Let me check and see if you guys have any questions before we go. And then I'm going to finish this deer because I got a whole nother deer ahead of me today. All right, let's see. Appreciate the video. Would love to start hunting, Brittany says. You should do it, Brittany. It's a great way to put food on the table. Is it bad if meat touch the hide? Jacob wants to know. If the meat touches the hide, no, it's not bad. You don't want to get hair on it. Hair can taint the flavor, and you don't want hair in your final product. So just try to keep it. My cameraman's over there passing gas. So try to keep it as clean as you can. Things like soap and lanterns. You guys do anything with the bone? Some people do aso buso. They cut the meat on the bone and cook it up like that. You could probably make a stock. We usually don't do much with the bone. I usually debone. Venison fat is sour. Leaving stuff on the bone can sour. So the flavor you would get like on another animal on the bone, it's a little different with the venison. Thanks for a great video, Mark says. You're welcome, Mark. Thanks for joining us, guys. I'm going to check over now and let's see here. Looks like everybody on YouTube, no more questions. If you're watching on Facebook, guys, you can go check out the YouTube channel. That's where the bulk of this video was shot. And like I said, guys, we're down a camera right now. We got a broken camera, and we really wanted to, let's see here. We wanted to do a video. I was going to do one like our normal videos where we just kind of, film it first and then put it up there. I wanted to do a nice butcher video. But that my autofocus camera's down, and without that camera that would just be impossible to do. So at least here we got to answer some questions and show you guys live how we do this.
If you want a much better version of this video, the Wild Harvest Whitetail 101 course is the place to go. No more questions. I see. Well, let's see here. Let's see. Looks like no more. Oh, will the video be available later? Anita wants to know. Yep, the video. We'll leave this video up so you can rewatch it. And I think that's everything, guys. I got a long day of butchering ahead of me, so thanks for joining me for this butcher session. It's way quicker to do this when you're just working on your own and not talking to a camera, which is why I'm going to now stop and get to work. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys soon in our next video.